Hey everybody, how you doing out there? Welcome to Unit 2. We've got 4 units total, so we are moving on forward. Great job finishing up your literacy narrative. I look forward to reading those, and we'll get your grades and feedback to you soon. So for Unit 2, we're going to do what is called an example essay. And so I've posted the assignment, essay 2 assignment here, as well as a chapter that you'll read in our textbook, Back to the Lake, that gives information about an example essay, as well as some examples of example essays. A few things to think about with an example essay is that it shows a very thin slice of a much bigger picture. We use examples all the time to create a representation or an illustration of a concept or idea that we want to show people. And so those examples are very useful in our writing as well, because that means that we have the opportunity to show our reader rather than tell our reader. And so we want to pick examples that are just a very small slice, but really represent the whole picture. And that's how we exemplify a concept or an idea. The strategy is to make kind of an abstract idea or concept concrete for your reader. And the way we make things concrete is by providing imagery, details, dialogue, all of those things that we practice in our narrative essay. So the two parts of an example essay are: 1, the general concept or idea, and 2, the examples that you're going to offer that illustrate or show or represent that general concept or idea. For this essay, we will have a thesis statement, which is going to be the main idea of your entire essay. That thesis statement will be the statement that reflects the general idea or concept that you're going to provide the examples on. And then you're going to provide the examples. And so how many examples do you need to use for this essay? Well, that really depends on the topic you choose. It may be that 1 or 2 examples are really sufficient for the concept that you're explaining. It may be that those examples are, one example is 3 pages long because it's so detailed and in depth. It may be that you need 2 or 3 or 4 examples to give that small slice of the big picture. So I'm going to leave that up to you, how many examples you choose to offer your reader. Just make sure that it's sufficient to paint that picture of the general concept. In our textbook this week, I have put that you will read Chapter 8. There are a couple things I want to ignore, though. Page 238 in the textbook, if you want to, you can open to that right now, offers some templates for writing thesis statements and introductions to examples. I'm going to ask you to ignore those templates. Rather, look for ideas from the readings that we're going to be doing this week, and identify and analyze places where transitions are used and topic sentences and thesis statements. So ignore those templates and see what you can come up with on your own. The other thing I want to point out to you is on page 240. It's called parallel structure. We want to make sure that we are writing our sentences in parallel structure, and there's a couple good examples there to show you that. So please review. That's kind of a conventions English grammar rule that we want to make sure we are following in this essay. So real quick, let's go ahead and click on Essay 2 assignment and open that up, and I just want to review a few components with you here. You'll see the rough draft due June 21st. You'll post that to the discussion board forum, and I'll provide responses. Final draft due date is June 24th. Here are the instructions or prompt. You will pick a topic that you are familiar with. This isn't something that I want you to be researching necessarily. You may do some initial research just to kind of stimulate the thinking, get the wheels turning. But I also have some ideas here on how to brainstorm for it. So your research can be just to get your ideas going, but you won't be using citations in this essay. And then I have the pages in the textbook that specifically refer to writing an example essay, the criteria and requirements, clear thesis statement, solid examples sufficient to exemplify the general concept, well-organized essay with topic sentences and transitions, MLA format, 3 to 4 pages, and of course your English and conventions and grammar, and then the rubric. If you scroll down to the second page, I've offered one way to brainstorm for this essay. By no means the only way to do it, but for some people, this might be a really useful exercise to get some ideas about what topic to choose. And so I have the instructions listed here, 6 steps, but then I also provide my own example of how I brainstormed for this essay. And so the first thing is to make 4 columns with the headings personal and hobbies, family, work, and school. And then list as many of the roles you play in life, past or present, that relate to each heading. So you'll see that I'm a reader, runner, skier, I'm a sister, daughter, pet parent, foster parent, professor, freelance writer, consultant, river guide, and underneath where my little picture is right now, it says school. I'm a PhD student and a classmate to my fellow PhD students. So I've done that. Step 3 is to choose a few roles that you listed and think about any general concept or idea you have about that role. You may use general internet searches to help generate ideas, but you won't be citing these sources, just using them to help stimulate thinking. So if you scroll down a little bit here, I've picked sister and river guide as 2 of the roles that kind of stuck out to me that I wanted to play with a little bit. Okay, so step 4, draft a working thesis. Remember, the thesis is the main idea of the whole essay about the general concept or idea. So if we scroll down, working thesis for sister, I thought about the concept of middle child, because I am a middle child. I have an older sister and a younger brother, and I was actually just at a family reunion, so that was fresh on my mind. And there's such a thing called the middle child syndrome. And so my working thesis, which means we'll probably revise this a little bit, I don't know that this is the thesis, but it's a good starting place, is that feeling left out is a real challenge of being a middle child. Then I had to think of some examples that show how I've experienced that in my life, how that is true for me. And so I thought about how my younger brother got a new car for his 17th birthday. My older sister got to help make family decisions. All right. The second one I wanted to play with a little bit in my brainstorm was the river guide. So my working thesis was, while female river guides cannot match their male co-workers' physical strength, they are also doubted for their ability to perform basic tasks and to make decisions. This was something I faced a lot when I used to work as a river guide. Some of the examples I could come up with from my years on the river were my co-workers double-checking the strap on the boat trailer after I tightened it. I jokingly called it a man check. The guests on the raft asking if one of the male river guides would help if something goes wrong. That happened to me a few times. And not being able to lift the heaviest end of the boat to put it on the trailer. So there were times when I could not match the physical strength of my coworkers, and I acknowledge that. But there were other things like strapping the raft down and being able to handle an emergency situation on the river that were also doubted. So those were just some examples I wanted to provide you of this assignment. So I'm going to close that out and go back to Blackboard here. So you do have a discussion board this week, and I've got the assignment posted. If you click on Unit 2 here, you'll see the instructions for the discussion board, okay, and it has to do with the example essays in the textbook. And then also the place to post your rough draft, and there will also be a place to upload your final assignment. So look forward to reading some of your ideas this week. Happy reading and brainstorming, and let me know if you need any help. Have a great week.